Ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking news from the Washington Post. Russian Prime Minister resigns amid government shakeup under Putin. Russia's Prime Minister submitted his resignation on Wednesday as part of a surprise government shakeup directed by President Vladimir Putin. Putin accepted the resignation of Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev and asked members of Medvedev's cabinet to remain in place until a new government is formed, the state-run Tass news agency reported. The sweeping move comes shortly after Putin gave his annual address to Russia's lower house of parliament and proposed constitutional changes to boost the powers of prime ministers and cabinet members. For my part, I also want to thank you for everything that was done at this stage of our joint work. I want to express satisfaction with the results that have been achieved, the president told a meeting with cabinet ministers. Not everything was done, but everything never works out in full, Putin said. Medvedev, a longtime Putin ally, served as Russia's prime minister since 2012. He spent 4 years before that as president in 2008 to 2012. Earlier, Putin proposed sweeping changes to the Constitution Wednesday, including strengthening parliament and revamping the country's state council, possibly hinting at his plans for after he leaves power in 2024. In his annual address to lawmakers, Putin again suggested limiting presidential term limits to 2, indicating that 20 years after he first became president, he won't attempt to seek a third consecutive term. But Putin's plans to give constitutional status to the State Council, a top advisory body to the president he created in 2000, and transfer more power to Parliament, including naming the country's prime minister, could be a path for him to maintain significant influence in a different capacity once this presidential term is finished. As the Russian constitution stands now, the president has the sole power to appoint the prime minister. This is all about how to influence the prerogatives of the future president, said Tatiana Stanovaya, the head of a think tank called R-Politik and a scholar at the Carnegie Moscow Center. Putin would like to have some leverage, some mechanism to control and to get involved in case his successor makes mistakes or has some disagreements with him. After Putin served 2 presidential terms from 2000 to 2008, he swapped places with his prime minister, Dmitry Medvedev, who served only 1 term. Medvedev was widely seen as a caretaker, enabling Putin to retain power behind the scenes. But there was also believed to be a rift between the two halfway during Medvedev's presidency. Putin then took over the presidency in 2012 and was reelected last year. Stanovia considers it unlikely Putin would want to be prime minister again after his presidency, but a role on a beefed-up state council could be appealing to him. He doesn't want to get engaged in routine social and economic policy like the budget. It's boring for him, she said. He wants to focus on foreign policy, and I think the state council is much more convenient for him. But for that, he will need to make it a constitutional body and significantly enlarge its possibilities. Putin concluded his speech, which lasted slightly more than an hour, by saying those changes must be approved at a national referendum. Russia's first since 1993. But if that referendum will actually occur is unclear. Ella Pamfilova, the head of Russia's Central Election Commission, told Russian news agency Interfax, "I don't think it will go as far as a referendum. adding that there are other forms of debate. Other constitutional changes include limiting the supremacy of international law, raising the residency requirements for presidential candidates from 10 years to 25 years, giving Russian Constitution Court the right to verify whether adopted laws are in compliance with the Constitution before they are signed by the president, prohibiting civil servants from holding foreign citizenship, and adding a provision to keep the minimum wage and pension above the official poverty line. Our society is clearly demonstrating a demand for change, Putin said at the start of his address. The annual speech to top Russian officials and members of parliament largely focused on how to improve domestic living standards. Putin opened with initiatives to improve Russia's demographics by proposing financial incentives for citizens who have children, and then addressed low teacher salaries, boosting their monthly wages by roughly $80. He also touched on healthcare and environmental issues. Putin's approval ratings remain high at about 68%, according to the December poll from the Levada Center, but it has been gradually declining due to a stagnant economic growth and unpopular moves in recent years to raise the retirement age and increase value-added taxes. Wednesday's State of the Nation address was his first to be projected across several large buildings in Moscow. Putin also pointed out that the speech was unique in how early it was delivered. Typically, such speeches are given in February or March. We need to expedite achievement of the large-scale social, economic, and technological challenges our country faces, he says. Well, that's some interesting stuff going on in Russia, folks. Again, thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification for updates. And again, I'm DK Foreman. Thank you for tuning in to the DK Foreman Breaking News Edition Report. And with that, I'm going to say salama, shalom, and shalom, and peace.